Today I'm going to show you how I go about measuring and drilling for spotlights and getting it right every time, and I'll also explain why I'm using these short little lengths of 2.5mm neutral wire. Now, if you are an electrician working on putting spotlights in, I'm in the bedroom above the living room at the minute, and you probably aren't going to have the luxury of being able to lift all the floorboards up above where you're going to be working. But in this situation, we can, and that makes life considerably easier because it means we can work out all of our cable runs and everything before drilling a single hole and making sure that we're putting the spots in places where it's relatively easy to get the cables through without having to damage the ceiling or lift extra floorboards and all that sort of thing. So that basically means that I'm lifting as many floorboards as I can, basically boards that aren't properly held down yet. And then we can work out where everything's going to be going. We also need to do the ones in the kitchen as well. And that means that we've got our last chance to lift boards that are going to be underneath the bathroom floor. And again, we can then work out exactly where the cables are going to run and keep everything nice and neat and tidy. While I'm lifting floorboards, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to remove these final kind of 3 or 4 boards along here that were basically saturated in urine from the toilet and they were a bit stinky. So we're going to get rid of this one, and this one, and probably the end of that one as well. And we might as well do it now. The more room we've got for running cables and all that sort of thing, the better. So I've got the floorboard lifter out. Doesn't matter what state these are in when they come out because these are all going in the bin because they are stinky. Right, so I'm going to quickly get rid of these death nails, do a bit of a tidy up under the floor because there's a few bits that we couldn't get the hoover to before, and then I will come back to you with my strategy for how we'll work out where the spots are going to go. Right, that is all cleaned up, and really we are operating the house pretty much in clean mode now. If we make a mess, we're cleaning it up straight away. We don't want to be spreading any mess around the house. I've just noticed a spot that I've missed with the hoover, which is very annoying. And the main reason we're being quite meticulous about keeping the place clean now is because every bit of dirt that lands on the floor just gets dragged around the house, and we've done a full deep clean after the plastering from top to bottom. So we want to try and keep the floors as clean as possible, and also little things like what I just hoovered up there. When I come to put the floorboards back, that would all have to be removed. You don't want to be putting floorboards on top of dust and rubble that are on top of the joists. I do need to be a little bit careful because things are a little bit precarious with not having any floor on that half of the room now. But anyway, let me show you kind of the plan for spotlights, what we want to do, and then we'll see if we can actually do it. So starting with the living room, really straightforward. So we just want 6 spotlights. So kind of 1, 2, 3, and then mirrored on the other side of the room. So we need to have a vague idea of how far in we want them coming. Generally, you don't want them to be directly above your head where you're sitting on a sofa because that can be quite kind of annoying. So inset, probably I would have said about 80 centimetres or thereabouts, but because of the chimney breast, it's like, well, do you take it 80 centimetres from the chimney breast or do you take it from the alcove? So sometimes it's best to take a bit of a balance, and maybe if we go kind of there-ish, that should work out pretty well. We'll work it out, but a lot of that is going to be dependent on where the joists are upstairs anyway. And then into the kitchen, we want 5 spotlights. So we basically want 1 in this gap kind of here, and then 4 over there, kind of in a square. But the 3 that are going to end up running down here all need to be in a line with each other. And they all need to be the same distance away from the wall. I've already measured it out at 700mm from the wall, which basically offsets it slightly from the depth of the worktop, because we don't really need it to be above the worktop because we're going to have under-cupboard lighting anyway. So 700 should work out pretty well. So I've put a mark on the wall 700 there, 700 there. And then what I think I'm going to do in this room is just basically go for it and hope for the best. It's not quite going to work like that, but yeah, you'll see in a minute, because it's going to involve doing a few little kind of trial holes, and we'll see where we're going to be popping up on the other side and see if we can actually get access to it. So I'm going to start by measuring everything out. We know we've got 700 there. We're just going to come 700 in as well. I think that'll work pretty well. So 700 is there. And then what we're going to try and do is come 700 off this wall, and then we'll split the difference. So let's see, 700 comes there. And then where you've got like a big row of spots, sometimes it's easier to use a laser to try and get them all in a line, because we've only got 3 here. It's a relatively small room. I think I can do it just by measuring, so I think we'll be fine. But yeah, if it was a big run, I would probably get the laser or even a string line. So I'm going to just measure the distance from that hole there to there. So that's 214. So that's 107. Yep. 170. And then what we're going to do, where's going to be the easiest reference point? We'll come off that back wall to this point. 176. Now I can see straight away this is going to be problematic, because there's a joist going just here, so this probably isn't going to work, but we'll start with like wishful thinking. So yeah, so there's a joist literally just there, so that's going to be far too close to that joist, so we're going to have to tweak the distances a little bit. The problem is this is the middle. So this is always going to be the middle, no matter what we tweak. So I think we're going to try, we'll move everything 5 centimeters that way, and we'll see if that works. And by the way, the old hole that all the cables are currently coming through, that's where the heat alarm's going to be in the kitchen, so that'll cover that up. Anyway, where's my drill? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, we've got a vague idea what's above this ceiling, but in many cases you might not. So I'm going into it with a blunt masonry bit, so that if I do hit any cables or pipes or anything, it's unlikely to damage them. But we're just going to tentatively just go gently through on all of these marks that we've just made, and you'll see what I'm going to be doing with those little bits of cable. Right, we're straight into something, I don't know what. Probably a joist, judging by a nail here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come back to the mark that we did have on this side, and we'll see where we are above. And to mark it, so that I can easily see the hole, we've got these little bits of cable. I find rigid cable works best. This one's going to have to be in that direction, because we know we've got a joist here. So we'll go there. As you see, I'm barely letting the drill go up, so there's very little chance of it hitting anything on the other side until we see exactly where we're coming through. So that's how it's looking. As I say, that was our original mark and we've come this way a little bit. But on the basis that there's going to be nothing in the kitchen against that far wall, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. The main thing is that the spacing is vaguely even, because if it's not, it'll stand out like a sore thumb. But anyway, you can see what we've done. Let's go and have a look from above and see where we're coming through. So this is where we discover whether this is going to be an easy job or a hard job. Because with any luck, we'll see all the little blue cables from above, but we might not. Let's find the first one. So here's the first one here, perfectly in the middle between these two joists. So that is absolutely great. I think the other one I should be able to get to just by fishing through under the floor. Yeah, I can see it there, although there is a bit of wood. I think we'll be all right. I think we'll hit lucky. We're just to this side of it, about 6 centimetres or so by the looks of it, so I think we'll be all right. I mean, worst case, we'll live without that bit of wood. We can knock a bit of it out, cut a chunk of it out, but it's not easy doing that through a spotlight hole, and I don't particularly want to lift even more floorboards up. Anyway, so those two are good. So the next one should be in line with that, which should be along here. Look, here it is here. So there we go. Perfect. That's a great location to the side of that joist, and again, I should be able to get through under there to get to the other one. So that shouldn't be a problem. And then our final one, the one that was going to be hitting a joist, was this one here. So again, we should be fine. We're going to be a little bit close to the edge of that joist. If anything, I'll probably come this way just a little bit. Obviously, I need to be a bit careful with these cables that I don't hit anything when I drill through. But other than that, I think we're pretty good to go there. So these spots need, what do they need? 70mm hole, I think. Is that right? Double check. Be on the safe side. Marvellous. Well, that doesn't tell you what hole size it needs. 70mm looks about right. Oh. Judging by the fact that I've already got one in my hole saw, would suggest that that is correct. So, if you haven't already got one of these, get one of those. They are invaluable. So that basically goes on there like that. My drill would help. And even if you're using one of these dust catchers, I would still use safety glasses, because you do get a little bit of dust coming out the sides. So this is the one that needs to come this way a little bit. So let's hope for the best. Let's go for, go there. There's the joist there. We've got a good centimetre away from that joist, so that's absolutely great. Do all the other ones. There we go, easy peasy. How long did that take? But can you imagine what a ball ache that would be if I'd hit pipes or cables or joists or anything else? So being able to mark your runs in advance really does kind of make life a little bit easier. So onto the living room. Let's see if we'll have as much luck with the living room as we've had with this one. So for starters, in order to stand a chance of being able to fish the cable through, I'm going to have to make sure that it's somewhere in this row here where this board's up, because we're going to have to run the cable down between these two joists basically. So I'm going to start by drilling a little hole exactly in between these two joists, and we'll see where we are on the other side and how that looks. This isn't where we're putting a spotlight, by the way. This is just to kind of mark roughly in between the two joists. through. Don't really need this because you're going to be able to see the hole, but I'll shove a bit of wire through anyway. And then on this side, we're looking to come off the wall. I think we said about 800. 800's there. Bang on a joist, perfect. Yeah, so 800's not going to work. Because we're either going to have to go like 750 or 950. So like more towards the middle of the room, if that makes sense. 750 is putting it very kind of above your heads when you're sitting on the sofa, which isn't always that pleasant. So I'm tempted to go this side of this joist here. So I'm just going to, again, just a little hole, easily filled, but I don't want to go any further. I don't want to go any further that way, basically. Give ourselves plenty of wiggle room. We'll go there. And we'll see where that comes out on the other side and if it's going to look all right. Because the spots can go anywhere in that direction. It's this direction that's the problem for hitting joists, basically. See how that looks. So, we are there and there. Let me try and show you from the other side. That could actually work quite well, I think. What we're going to do, we're going to bring this one that way a bit. That, I think, can stay pretty much where it is. Except we'll measure the distance from the wall properly. So in terms of measuring the distance from the wall, I want the spacing between them to all be even. So basically the room is 4,580 long. We're going to have 3 spots, so we want even gaps, so 4 even gaps. So that means gaps of 1145. So 1145 from the wall, 1145, 1145, 1145. That comes to 4580. Let me mark it all up, shove the cable through, double check where we're coming through on the other side, and then we can drill those holes. So I've marked the position of the 4 corner spots. So we've got 2 there and 2 there. And because we're talking about a slightly bigger span here, I am using the laser on this one. So the laser's just set up on the floor there. And it's a little bit bright today, but hopefully you can see the mark. But what I'm going to do, 1145 again, we'll double check. So we've got from there to there, 45. Double check it from that way. Again, I don't know if you can see the laser. You probably can't from there, but I can just see it. You'll probably see better if I turn this light off, actually. Maybe. So the problem we've got in this room is that the chimney breast isn't central. And it's up to you really, you need to make a judgment call. Do you want the spots to be central to the chimney breast or do you want them to be central to the room? Personally, I'd prefer that they're central to the room. Otherwise you're going to end up with like a dark patch where one side of the room's kind of darker than the other, which, yeah. So ideal world, you need to kind of make that judgment call, but I think that'll be absolutely fine. So at this point, one last sanity check that we are definitely correct. 1145, 100, 1145, 100, and that all looks good on that side. Great. So the final check is just to see where we're coming through on the other side, but we should be fine because we've kind of pre-measured everything. Which joists did we say? I haven't brought my tape measure. I should be able to see the blue bit of wire in that direction somewhere. Yeah, it is just there. So that's perfect. The other one's going to be somewhere in the middle here, but that's fine because we can fish that through. And then over here was our first kind of trial hole that we did, if you like. Let's see where we've actually ended up. There it is there. Fine, perfect. And then on this side, we should be kind of in that direction somewhere. Let's have a look. Yep, there it is. And then there should be one in the middle, over here somewhere. Can you see it? Oh yeah, there it is. That's fine. And then over here, we should be able to see it from above. Yep, there it is. Grand. They are all perfect location-wise. Let's drill some more holes. Now that all the cutouts are done, I think those positions look absolutely perfect. So that's happy with that. So folks, I hope you found that useful. This method has worked for me over the years quite successfully, and I've very rarely run into problems. By the way, if you're wondering, we've got plasterboard ceilings here, and that makes life infinitely easier. Can you fit spotlights into lath and plaster ceilings? Well, yes you can, but it's a nightmare of a job, because basically your hole saw cutting through the lats, the wooden lats, it goes blunt so quickly. So after 1 or 2 holes through lath and plaster, you will find that your hole saw is so blunt that it's basically just setting everything on fire. So yeah, good luck with that one. It's not pleasant. I have done it in the past, but yeah, it's not a fun job. Plasterboard, it's way easier. And by the way, I've been fitting downlights for probably coming on 20 years, maybe 25 years. Back in the days where MR16s were the rage, with a little transformer with every bulb. These days, I just like fire-rated GU10s. That's my personal choice. I know you can get the spotlights that are kind of a sealed unit. I think that is absolute madness, because that means you have to replace the entire fitting when the bulb fails, and good luck with that 2 years down the line if you can't find a matching fitting. Anyway, folks, I hope you found that useful. Any tips or suggestions that you want to add to this, please post them down in the comments below. Do hit subscribe. There's a button on the screen at the moment. It would be wonderful to have you on board as a subscriber. If you want to see the rest of this renovation in more detail, including extra spotlights that are going to be really quite tricky, but it's a little bit too much for this video. If you want to see that, head over to the member zone. There's an extra long video over there, including a bunch of outtakes and things that go horribly wrong and all sorts of other things. So head over to the member zone if you want to see that version of this video. In the meantime, folks, as per usual, look after one another, be nice to each other. We shall see you next time. Tatty bye.